IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today we have a very exciting episode. We're going to be understanding Sumona Chakravarti's habits. Sumona, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very excited. This is your first podcast that you're ever doing.
Yes, it is. It is my very, very, very first podcast. But I'm surprised there are still cameras there, so it doesn't feel so much. So I had to thoda bahut get ready, look
Get ready
nice and
to
presentable.
Look all presentable and all.
Yeah.
You started this whole acting world when you were 11. Right back then, how did you, why at 11? What was your thought process? Were you born thinking that I'm going to be an actor?
Nee, nothing of that sort.
Huh.
Honestly, it was pure luck.
Hmm.
When we moved to Bombay in 97, my father relocated with a job. I'm originally from Lucknow. So we had a advertising person living in a complex in our society. And as a kid, typical Bengali, Rolu, Polu type, Godi, Chitti type. That typical you have the face for advertising. So I genuinely apparently had the face. So he recommended mom that why don't you put her in as she has a face for it. So mom was like, you come from a small town, right?
Yeah.
And you've always seen things on television, right? On screen and stuff. So you're like, sure, why not, right? So I did a few ads. And then one thing led to another. And I remember I was in my 5th grade when I went for I remember this coordinator calling and said कि ये film में है 10 दिन का shoot है पनवेल में है बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं and stuff like that. It's a Aamir Khan film and all.
Haila.
So it was a film called Man. And I was 12 or something, and I went and it was a holiday for me. Of course, I also got paid for it. I don't remember, honestly. I think about 3,000-4,000 rupees.
Almost irrelevant in the.
Yeah,
I was in
correct.
Aamir Khan movie.
I was in an Aamir Khan film, okay? And the best part was, it was really great. Indra Kumar was the director. So his daughter was also in the film and we are the same age. Rather, if I'm not wrong, she's a year younger to me or something. And it was a whole gang of some 30-40 kids and the mothers were there. And it was so much fun, So I have seen Anil Kapoor, Manisha Koirala and Aamir Khan then, And nobody will believe, but Aamir Khan used to literally pull people and make them sit in front of him to play chess.
Wow.
कोई भी हो. अगर आपको नहीं भी आता है तो it's okay, but just sit. I need somebody sitting. I'll play your turn also. I'll play mine and I'll play yours. But I need. So it was a great experience, honestly. And then it so happened that from amongst that many kids, in this, I don't know what he saw in me, but he decided to give me a couple of lines and a couple of, I had this 1 or 2 scenes one-on-one with Manisha. It wasn't part of the script per se. It was written child. It could have been any child out of those 50, right?
Yeah.
But funnily enough, he chose me. He didn't even choose his daughter. He chose me. And there were like that, 2-3 more scenes where in the whole thing, like, that kid got a little bit more screen time. So I really enjoyed it, honestly. So that sort of, I realized this is fun. And at later years, of course, I realized, oh my God, I really like being in front of the camera. I wanted to become Miss Universe the day I saw Sushmita Sen get crowned. And I was like, God did not help me with the height. So let's see.
What is the next best
What's
thing
the
I can
next
do?
best thing? And then I was acting. Like I was doing these small things. And then, as kiddo roles. And I really enjoyed it. Because
So this
otherwise,
was all through school, college?
Yeah. All through school, college.
In
But I
college
kept
also?
taking break because my father, the middle class Bengali father, full of intellectualism and all of that, would be like, pehle padhai. I'm a closed person. So I also love my craft so much because I get to put on a mask and be someone else.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You enjoy that
Yeah.
turning
I'm
into
a little
somebody else.
asocial. I've been corrected because I said antisocial. Someone said, no, you're asocial.
Antisocial means?
हाँ एकदम ही opposite. You're asocial. I said, okay, fine, I'm asocial.
Normally people say introverted, etc., etc.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a mix of both.
Are
Like
you
with
introverted?
my,
Where do you get
I
your
can
energy
be.
from? Do you get your energy from being sitting at home alone, or you get your energy from meeting people?
when I sit at home, I recharge myself. That's me plugged into charging, basically. And then when I'm with my close set of people, then I'm chill. Then there's no... I think with the profession, it has sort of become that the more number of years that I've spent in the industry and more popular that I have become in terms of just being known, I think I have become more and more of a private person. And especially thanks to social media, so like full-fledged, I've become so private, it's not funny.
But what was like an inciting incident that probably made you go into your shell,
I don't know, just per se, because I was like, this is me, my family, my home, my friend circle. And I always believed in the fact, don't take work home and don't take work home to work. So I like to draw a few boundaries, a few lines. It's good to have each one in their place. I don't usually like the blurring of lines. I'm a bit of a control freak also, full OCD control freak. I realize it helps me that way. I don't like, I understand you like my craft, you like me, you're my fan and everything, but you don't have to know everything about me. You genuinely don't. It's not required.
So it is not that I want to know what Sumona does or like those aspects of...
I mean, abhi to thanks to social media, there's so much of... Abhi hai, khud se hum log kitna dal dete hain, right? But I remember in the beginning, just before social media, like my claim to fame, I would say, is a show called Bade Achhe Lagte Hain. And I remember back then, there was a lady handling my PR. And within a few months, I was like, guys, I'm done with this.
Or nahi
ho sakta PR. Because I realized every time you do a new project, enough money is put in as PR to promote the show, which in turn promotes you as an actor anyway, right? But once that gets over, अच्छा आप कहाँ खाने गए, कौन सी जिम में गए, आप क्या कर रहे हो, क्या शॉपिंग कर रहे हो, कहाँ हॉलिडे पे गए, who you dating, I mean then I feel that okay, no, now you're encroaching on my space, on my personal space. And if I feel like sharing, like I like sharing my fitness workouts and stuff like that, so theek hai. Not every day, or if you're gonna, I'll do it when I feel like it, basically. I don't like to be dictated upon. Like for the longest time in the beginning years of television, remember that whole page 3 era, the page 3 parties that used to happen. And honestly, I did get invited and I went to 1 or 2 and then I realized, same people. तो काम पे भी वो, party पे भी वो, फिर वहाँ से after party पे भी. I said, what is happening? Okay, then it would be like everyone, and then, hey, how are you? What's up? And then the same gossiping, and then the same line of conversation, and then beyond a high, there's nothing stimulating beyond that. And I'm somebody who likes to read, and I get what's the term? Sapiosexual. So that would not happen to me. I'm like, why the hell am I going to a party if I'm not going to find you attractive enough to have a conversation? And by attractive, I don't mean physically, I mean your
mentally,
mind, right? For me, a conversation needs to be attractive. And it wasn't. So eventually I stopped going.
So this was all obviously when you were also very young, right?
Yeah.
You would have been what, 1920?
Yeah, pretty much.
1920-ish, right?
Yeah.
Just out of your teens into early adulthood.
So I was in college, I was working, and then I also had a stint in hospitality, actually, funnily, because one of those competitions that I participated. So one of the girls was actually in hospitality. She was in ITC, Grand Central, the one in Parel, and it had just come up, and the HR department called me. And then I was like, I've just given my 12th waiting for my results. They said, they must have just they literally just hung up on me.
But you got a job or not? You did or not?
I did it. They hung up on me, okay? And then I was like, I looked at my wife and said, I think I got a job, but before they gave it to me, they took it.
But you got the job?
I got the job eventually.
What were you doing?
So I was in front office. I was a guest relations executive, GRE. And our job was basically to handle the VIPs.
How long did you do this?
I did this for about 10 months.
Okay, not bad.
Yes. And then I got a TV show. So, it was. So I used to host all the employee events that we used to have in the hotel. And I turned 18 on Saturday, Ashdin, I still remember. And I joined on Monday.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, oh, damn, you can't sue them for child labor. Alas.
But I've learned, I used to be a very hot-headed teenager. And, traveling to college, Andheri to Churchgate in a Bombay local train really toughens you up. So I was a very full brat that way. But working in a hotel, did learning how to wear a sari, walking around, running around. I can dance in a sari. I can do anything in a sari as of today.
Practice has happened.
Full. I can wear sari in 5 minutes. Then just talking to humans, customers who are all kinds, literally, where you have to be firm but not rude. You have no idea how much I have utilized all those things that I learned in hospitality in my industry.
Acting life, right?
Yeah, because you meet all kinds of people in
I
our
was just going to ask
industry.
you this, right? Like, it is going to be crazy, and being hotter in the industry, you won't get far.
No.
What,
but just
what are
to-
some of the things that you quickly realized about how you have to behave in this kind of an industry, like how to deal with people, etc.?
I have been told by some very close friends who are part of the industry. We weren't friends earlier, but when we became friends,
Then they told you.
they told me you are very intimidating
Hmm.
when you walk in. It is hard. And you need to stop looking into the eyes of the person and talk. I'm like, where else do you want me to look?
Ladkiyan chuk ke bolti hai. That kind of stuff.
I was told that.
Huh.
When I was, I will not name the producer, but when her assistants told me that you have to go and meet her, and very specifically I was instructed, please do not look directly into her eyes or face, like thoda sa aankhein niche karke. I'm like, are you mad or what? What is wrong with you? You've got to look into somebody's eyes when they're talking. Like, you can't look here and there.
I think this is a very good point, because lots of people feel this underconfidence thing,
We
right?
feel it all the time.
How do you
Even
get
today I
over
feel
it?
it sometimes when I've gone to meetings. I'm networking, trying to look for more work for OTT and all of that stuff. I'm networking, meeting people, and it's equally nerve cracking sometimes, because they tell you that, oh, we really like your work, we're such a fan of yours, you do so well. I'm like, to do na kam. But just to put yourself out there, not everybody can do that,
Correct.
Not everybody can do that.
I keep saying that success comes to people who are willing to do the things that other people aren't, right? So everybody finds it hard.
Yeah.
Everyone finds it scary to do. But if you have the ability to get past that fear and then get past that feeling of scared, that's where success
It's
lies.
that one step, literally. I mean, it's tough, easier said than done. I have taken those steps after many deliberations, but yes.
No, I think it's important to learn this getting over your fear kind of a thing. And you learned this when you were in school? Was it something that came naturally to you? Did you practice it?
I don't know. I think it was somewhere part of my upbringing. Like, I remember mum used to take me to the UP Sports Club in Lucknow to learn swimming, and I used to keep running around the pool, never entering the water. One day the instructors picked me up and just thrown me in the pool. And I remember mummy was behind the glass. She was like, "Hey, bachi bar gayi, doob gayi," all of that. And I took it to fish to the sea.
You swam like...
Literally, like I'm a hardcore water baby. Like, anybody on my face, like, "Arey yaar, Sumona aur pani to matlab bas."
like that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like majal hai ki koi meko nikal de pool se. I'm one of those people. But after that, then I was learning judo. I don't know, somewhere I have felt being an actor again. I can, however I am in real, back at home, in my bed or in front of the mirror or whatever, the moment I put on the mask, the persona of Sumona Chakravarti, who's the actor, I feel as a whole new person, and there's all of this confidence and, this, whether it's intimidating or not, whatever it is, it kind of, these are all the clothes that I end up wearing.
Right.
So it's okay. It works for me.
And also, you've played so many different kinds of roles over your career, right?
Yes, I have. So people ask me, how long have you been in the industry? So I don't know, when do I start the count? Should I count like the child years, or should I not count them, or should I count adult years?
So which was the first big role that you remember playing that you had to, practice for, that was life-changing for you?
As an actor, I did a show for a network called NDTV Imagine. And it was a show called Devi, Neer Bhare Naina. It was about a small girl, and it was a village-based show. And this small baby girl is turned into a Devi, by the parents. And, the whole, how in a village it's very, very easy to, like, she's been born under such circumstances, she's special, she's a Devi. And then you just start the whole process, and then it's a money-making thing. Correct. And all of that. So I was playing this little baby girl's Bua. And honestly, the role was very, very challenging because I had never played a village girl before. I still remember when I attended the first day of the workshop. I went in my shorts and t-shirt. The director looked at me and he said, and he told my creative director, who today, as of today, is my best friend. He's like, "Ye karegi." The name of the character was Chiraiya. Chiraiya ka role, ye karegi, ye moharma. I was in one shorts and t-shirt. I'm like, how can you just judge somebody by what they're wearing to a workshop? Like that's not fair, right? I mean, but that show, that man really, really had me in tears most days of my shoot dates.
Wow.
But the day the shot, before the leap and all of it, so it was an end for us. That man has stood and has clapped for me, himself in tears, and he's like, nobody could have. I have never seen an actor metamorphosis of this sort. I have not seen.
Wow.
Ever. Like, I could not have imagined anybody else.
Was it like a negative role?
No, it was a positive. But it's just that apparently, according to him, I looked very much like a today's modern city girl, right? So to play a villager, she used to wear a half sari, roti banana. And roti banana नहीं gas में वो proper लकड़ी वकड़ी डाल के बर्तन धोना and झाड़ू पोछा. Very, very village, गाँव की लड़की, even when she falls in love, like the Thakur ka younger brother who starts to like her and love her. So I used to do a really dark makeup, like I was at least I was like chocolate brown makeup I used to wear and everything, timid and shy, and she used to always get beaten up by her brother and the bhabis and all of that. So because I was always, I came across like this, how do you again become timid, right? Like somebody who's just bullied constantly. That show was a huge learning experience for me, huge in terms of just the craft of it. I've learned everything on a set.
There is so much technical stuff that goes into acting that we never see because it all seems so flawless when we are looking at your on TV. And I'm sure there's a difference between like the live shows that happen and the stuff that is recorded. What do you find more exciting? The recorded stuff, the live shows? What aspect of these two?
It's hard to choose. Honestly, it'll be like right eye or left eye kind of a scenario. But both have their massive ups and downs. Like on a live, of course, you go, you falter. You just...
You made massive mistakes and stuff?
Not really. Touch wood, not really. But the nervousness that I get before going on a stage, live is parallel to nothing else, honestly. Even a turbulence in a flight doesn't matter to me. But before going on stage...
Butterflies.
Yeah. That is insane. And because I also do English theatre, and like one of the most scariest stages I've always found is Tata NCPA, And the Tata Theatre stage is just the stage is intimidating.
Yeah, it's huge.
1,000 people there, and you're just like, oh my God. And you feel like a tiny speck over there, and like, oh my God, abhi galti kyun dekh lenge?
Correct.
But that one clap, that one laughter, that one applause, it just lifts you up, because even if you have made a mistake, A, they don't know. B, it's only you who knows and your director and your co-actors, right? But the fact that they don't know and how you just very easily meander through the whole thing and you move forward, that says so much for an actor. Yeah. When the other actor, probably falters and you step up, or maybe somebody has gone ahead and you have to step back, all kinds of things, right? So
that presence of mind is needed.
Yeah, you have to be, that's why sometimes I feel being on stage is actually very meditative, because you can't think before, after. It's just literally now.
I love that.
Yeah.
No thinking about...
I just realized it and I said it, but yeah, that's so true.
You can't be thinking about the applause afterwards. You can't be thinking about dinner pe kahan jayenge. It is this right
also,
now.
Also, every time your applause will change. Different theatres, different stages, different audiences. Just because you've got a laughter today at this particular point doesn't mean you'll get it the same time.
So you're waiting. Ah, okay, fine.
Yeah, you can't. So sometimes you expect it doesn't happen. That's the worst.
Wait, now laugh. Arey, you all don't understand anything. Yeah. I will repeat the joke for you.
But that's the stage thing. TV, but then camera is just, I would call camera, for me, it's a love affair, I think. Absolute love affair. Because it's just, I feel it's a different me completely. I just feel I get to express so much. I am not me, the person who was born and, brought to this world. I'm just this different human, different person, different character. And of course, you have the liberty of, you make a mistake, you get to do a retake. And then there's just, the beauty of the camera is, I like to believe my strongest feature are my eyes. Which I feel sometimes in theatre, people don't really get to see
You can't
them.
see it from that angle.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's just your voice. I have always felt my biggest, my strength, this thing lies in my eyes. So that's why sometimes I a little more biased towards the camera. I feel I don't need to always talk. Sometimes this just emotes.
What are 3 tips for people who are listening on romancing the camera? Because many people are scared, right? Camera shy.
I am. I'm very comfortable with close and mid. The moment it's full, then I don't know what to do with the rest of my body. I'm
Legs
very
crossed, legs
shy.
open, legs.
Yeah, I'm very shy. Like models. I have stood in the mirror and tried to do all kind of poses, and then I feel I look so weird. How do they do these things? It doesn't look weird on them. The same pose looks very weird on me. So that way I get very camera shy when somebody will like, "Arey, smile na, pose na." That's when I get shy.
So I think one of the big tips for cameras is that you have to have a fake smile that you practice in front of the mirror as much as you can.
Sometimes, the genuine wo nikal aata hai. Fake
There is sometimes
dikhta
not
hai.
genuine
Fake
event only.
dikhta
Na,
hai. Some people are great at it. I'm not like, I'm really bad at it. But some people are really
good at the
it.
fake smile.
Yeah, good at it.
And I've realized that modeling poses, if you want to pose like a model, you have to find which position you're the most uncomfortable in. And only then does it look good on camera. So like, for example, if you're sitting, you have to do one like full bent, like chakrasan kind of like something.
तो yoga ही ना कर ले फिर.
So then you run. Yoga, correct. So
Yoga ही
you
कर
have to do
लेते.
yoga and then you look like on model. That's it. Bend in the strangest ways.
Yeah.
So stage, right? You've played serious roles. Right now what you're doing is one full comedy sesh, right?
Yeah. It's been a decade now.
10 years?
This June is 10 years.
My God, congratulations.
Yeah. Clearly the 7-year itch didn't work.
I want to continue. And 10 years, evolution's taken place. What has been your journey over these 10 years?
It's very weird. I was even considered for this show, to be very, very honest. So because I was doing Bade Achhe Lagte Hain, and I was playing a proper negative character. And by negative, I wouldn't say it was like full vampish. It was very grey. As a show, it was a very slice of life show, so it did really well.
So what was the character like?
The character was great. I was playing Ram Kapoor's younger sister, Natasha, complete brat, born in this really rich industrial family. So super, super brat. She's a fashion designer here. When she was like, either my way or the highway. Simple. Loved her brother to death, but though she didn't, finish. But really, parties and late nights.
So this
and
came naturally to you because
abortions
of the intimidation and all of
that. Yeah. 5 baar to usne suicide attempt kiya tha, I remember, on the show. And then every time we would have to shoot and I'm like, आज फिर से यार ये मरती क्यों नहीं है? इसका कोई भी अटेम्प्ट सक्सेसफुल क्यों नहीं होता? जब देखो मेरे को इसको उठाना पड़ता है, हॉस्पिटल लेके जाओ. So she was that much of a brat. So in the middle of all of that, I got approached to do a show called Comedy Circus, which was a running show on Sony itself, the same network. And their concept was there were about 7-8 stand-up comedians, and they would get partnered with a celebrity actor who's a non-comedian, like a non-stand-up comedian. So I one day got a call saying that, they would like me to partner with a comedian. I thought laughed. I said, very funny. They actually called me like, are we talking? Like, what the fish is going
This
on?
happens a lot, with your hotel interview and this one.
Yeah, really wrongly placed kind of a thing. And I was like, but do you know what I do? I'm doing Bade Achhe Lagte Hain. I commit suicide every second week on the show. I'm playing this grey character. I've never done comedy in my life.
Oh, you had never done anything close to
No,
humor at
I
this
had
point of
done
time?
only hardcore daily soaps, and luckily they were not those Saas Bahu types. They were slice of life, whether it was a village girl or whether it was bade achhe, and all the other
They
shows
were
in
interesting
between.
characters in it.
Yeah, they were genuinely very interesting characters. I had done a lot of episodic shows and all of that, but they were all real slice of life, like not exaggerated dramatic ones. So comedy was something that I had not touched. And he said, why don't you just come have a meeting? I said, okay. So I was like, I went. I remember telling mom, she's like, हाँ अरे mom was very excited. She would watch TV. And then I came home and I told her कि कोई कपिल शर्मा है, उसके साथ कुछ partner होना है. She's like, कोई कपिल शर्मा ने कौन है वो? My mother has looked at me. She's like, are you mad? पिछले 4 सीजन से वो जीत रहा है, वो winner है. I said, अच्छा, funny है. My mother was like, what is wrong with this girl? I have then Googled and, you know, all of that stuff. And then I was like, but guys, I really, you know, like, I don't know him. I've not done comedy. And then I was like, chalo dekhte kya hoga. It's a season. It's a few episodes. We'll see.
Correct.
Let's push the boundaries. Let's see. And I was always that, you think I can't do it? Let
I'll
me
show
prove.
you.
The bong hot-headed would come out in that direction. So I gave it a shot. And honestly, I was part of the entire season as his partner. And even though it was a very unconventional looking pair, it actually did wonderfully well. And it worked for us. And that was the second last season that he did. The next season that he did was his last season with the show, and he had partnered with somebody else. But literally in every season, his partners would either leave or quit or get fired. It would just not work out. So he would have multiple partners through a season. I was the only one who was there from start to end in a particular season. And then, of course, he quit, and then he decided to do his own show on another network with his own, comedy nights with Kapil. And I remember because my manager told me that, actually somebody else had auditioned for it and they had done a full look test and everything, mock shoot. But apparently Kapil asked for you, said, no, let's bring her. I think the chemistry works. The fact that it's an unconventional pairing, it works. Rest is history. It's 10 years.
10 years. But how did you learn comedy? Comedy is such a difficult
I
thing
will
to do,
give
right?
him the credit.
Huh.
He really, I don't know. I think it just, he was very, he's one of those, and I always say this despite whatever, good, bad, ugly. I always say this is one of his biggest qualities about Kapil as a co-actor is he's so confident about his talent and his craft. He's not insecure. So he will step aside and let you perform. And if you struggle, he always jumps in to help save the ship. So it's not like he aap kuch bol rahe ho and he'll take it away. Or if you have, there were times when he used to actually forget his lines. And he used to start saying something else. And then I'm like, then how do you expect me to come up with a line? I'm not a stand-up comedian. I'm the following script. Now he has gone off script. And that show, during Comedy Circus, there used to be no prompters, right? We used to learn our script and we used to get the script literally then and there. So
And live. No, or there were takes and cuts.
No, there were no takes and cuts because this was every pair used to perform and Archana and Sohail would give us a marking.
So it was a live show. So
pretty much, yeah. It was recorded,
Correct.
but there was an audience
Yes,
and everything. So there was no prompter to look at, right? If this fellow used to forget, he used to go off script and come up with some funny joke and then I wouldn't know how to come back. So then the joke was, she forgot her line. But then eventually I took it upon myself, because I remember in the very first episode, they made fun of my
But that
mouth.
didn't hit you saying that she forgot the line? No, he forgot his line.
It did. The initial days were a little challenging because I remember they made fun of my mouth. And when we were doing the script reading, I was like, I don't know. And then I saw a few episodes. I realized sabke saath kuch na kuch hota hai. They found it very funny. They tried it in the very first episode to crack a joke on my mouth. And it didn't work. It fell flat. Not one soul laughed. Then they dropped it. And then eventually, in the other show, when we came on Colors, it sort of worked and everything. And I remember I felt really bad. And Archana sat me down and said, darling, why are you upset? I'm like, they've made fun of my mouth and my lips and everything. And then I didn't forget the lines. He forgot. And then he said something off script. I'm not a stand-up comedian. I can't just come up with funny jokes like that. I mean, if I say a joke, nobody will understand here. That's another story. But, she's like, okay, the joke part, line part aside, that's theek hai. I mean, but that went off. Take it on yourself. It's okay. If you can laugh at yourself, A, you will never feel humiliated. Secondly, about the lip or the mouth part, you have something that women I know pay money to get. A. I was that naive. I said, really? ऐसा क्या है? Then I looked at the mirror. I said, ऐसा क्या है? And then I realized, like, oh, the Angelina Jolie pout and all of that stuff, right? Because I was still very naive in that sense, you know, like at least the physicality part of it. I had never. It
Yeah,
was much
21.
later in life
Yeah.
that I first wore a red lipstick because after the show, I became very conscious of my mouth. So I would not really wear a bright lipstick or something. Like a dear friend of mine, she's like, you have the mouth to wear it. It will show. हमें बनाना पड़ता है. Please wear this color. I said, no. So I was that conscious about it. And she said, it was her. It was Shruti. Shruti was hosting it. Shruti said. And then one day, the only guest ever in 10 years who has always, apart from appreciating the show and Kapil, has always said, you know what, Sumona, without you, he doesn't become the great comedian that he is, if not for you. And that is Ritesh Deshmukh. I remember, and I will never forget, because he stood, this is during Comedy Circus, and he said, you know, it's Laurel and Hardy. Without the other, it doesn't work.
Right.
So yes, I agree, you feel like you're a punching bag and he's, you know, constantly cracking jokes. But can you imagine if you're not there and if you don't give him the reaction that he needs, not that he wants, that he needs,
Won't
it will
go
fall
for
flat.
it.
And for the first time I realized, I'm like, oh. And he has always, since then, he's come to our show a couple of times as a guest, and he's like, and I tell him that I don't know if you remember, but you had first told me this, and it has stayed with me till date. And that's why when people say that, you know, oh, he makes fun of you and your mouth, and oh, how can you're such a strong minded and you know, this woman, how are you a part of this misogynist show? I'm like, you have to understand something. A, it's a script, right? B, it's not that I am actually somebody with a duck mouth or whatever, like, you know, the exaggerated version of it. I would like to believe, and I have now come to terms with, I am a decent looking girl and I have a nice mouth and I don't have to do anything, touch wood. Also, you have to understand, Kapil is not insulting Sumona. There is a certain banter. Two characters are having an argument, or they are having a banter with each other. It's a husband and wife. He's not insulting Sumona. If anything, backstage there's so much of, अरे यार शुमन कितनी अच्छी लग रही हो यार तुम आज तो इस साड़ी में यार, कितनी सुंदर लग रही हो तुम यार, ये लोग भी ना क्या क्या बुलवाते हैं मुझसे. And I'm like, उनको क्यों दे रहे हो सारे गंदे जोक्स तो तुमको. Like backstage he'll be like, अरे यार कितनी सुंदर लग रही हो तुम आज ब्लैक साड़ी में. On stage he'll be like, डायन आ गई तुम. But the real him already came out backstage, right?
Correct.
So and it's not like he will say, it's a very, like I saw you, like, you've groomed your beard. It's one of those things, right? You've worked with each other for 10 years. It just happens. Like one of my co-actors, literally on Saturday when I was shooting, she forgot her lines, the lady who's playing my mother, and she skipped a few things and went ahead. And both of us at the same time went like, अरे तो तुम यहाँ आई कैसे? And we both looked at each other like, oh my God.
Now we're completing each other's sentences.
We both literally said the same thing at the same time to bring her back on track. Imagine.
But you know, that's the thing, right? Because through this 10 years, I'm sure the comedy would have changed, right? Because society is changing. Or is it like, have you noticed a transition, or is it the same kind of?
I see the difficulties that increase day to day with each passing day, month, year. It is just becoming more and more difficult because जैसे अरे यार तुम तो सेम ही चीज़ करते हो, स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियंस का कंटेंट देख लो. आई सेड डू यू नो समथिंग कॉल्ड एज SNPs, the standard protocols, all of it. And I'm like, guys, do you know the number of, forget do's, don'ts that are there? That a stand-up comedian writes his material for like 6, 7 months. And then with that one script, he will do full world tour for a year and a half. Like, we need a new script, and not one, two, every weekend.
Insane.
Because every weekend the guest changes, and sometimes we have the same guest come every month. Imagine you have to still find new content.
Find new things to say.
Because this one actor keeps having a film released every month. So you have, you run out of things.
Yeah.
And the list of don'ts is so much longer than do's.
So this whole comedy part, right? So there's one part of you that's doing these comedies, and I know that you're doing your stage things as well.
Yeah.
How do you transition between the two? Like mentally, you can switch on, switch off.
I can. I learned that when I was doing Balaji, I remember.
Huh.
The whole art of switch on, switch off. I learned
Different personas,
yeah,
different
yeah.
things.
It takes a little while.
And you practice?
It's the
you
art
practice your
of
script
taking a
and-
power nap.
Huh.
Same thing.
Tell.
Chair पे जब तक light change हो रहा है 15 मिनट and then again up.
And you wake up and suddenly you're negative character. You go to sleep.
Or whatever
Positive
character. Because, back in the day, we used to shoot like 17 hours, 18 hours, and I was doing 2 shows. So I would just literally go home. Like my home was literally between the 2 sets. So I would just go home to probably shower and, change of clothes and stuff like that. So our naps would be literally, जब lighting change हो रहा है, scene change हो रहा है, I don't think it feels like a job. That's what they say, right? That if you take up something that you love to do and earn money, then it won't ever feel like you're at a job.
What are the 3 things you love about acting?
Get to be someone else. Some amazing experiences that you can never ever have as a regular person. Like there are some just crazy ass experiences, literally, and the travel bit. Yeah,
Traveling to
traveling
new
bit,
places,
yeah.
different
As
places.
an actor, it just takes me because I really love it.
Right.
So the travel bit, which then obviously leads to experiences, because sometimes you get to shoot at certain places or you get to shoot with certain kind of people. So and you would never ever be able to do that.
In fact, you get some of the best people in the industry on your show.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, what is that like? Like, like people that you probably always admired on TV suddenly now sitting on your set. What does that feel like?
The first time that I was really taken aback when I met Sushmita Sen for the first time. That was a big one for me, right? So she was getting crowned Miss Universe. So this is the year 93, 94, if I'm not wrong. So I was that young. So for me to suddenly see her, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like,
But you saw her as an adult now, not 93, 94.
no. As an adult, when she came on my show as a
Correct,
guest,
correct.
right? But then for you, suddenly takes you back, right? You're sitting in Lucknow, like a
You're seeing
small
that
girl,
crowd.
middle class, chote se ghar mein, and then suddenly you're like now an actor and you're on the same stage, same platform as her, right? And she's come on your show as a guest. And I remember my mother came to see that episode on the day of the shoot. So I made mom meet her, and I didn't speak much because I was so in awe. I barely spoke, And then my mom told her. Then she was like, oh my God. So that really and she is so warm as a person. And she is so intelligent. And just a little bit of conversations or her poetry or her shairi. And then you realize that this person actually has brains.
Lots of depth. Yeah.
A lot of depth in the character, right? Like the fact that I find her such a big inspiration, single woman, mother, the fact that she adopted 2 girls. And the second time around, she had to literally fight for it to adopt, and literally living life on her own terms, whether, proudly saying that, yes, I got a cosmetic surgery, or yes, I have a boyfriend who's that many years younger to me, or older to me, or whatever. Like, she has worn her heart on her sleeve, and she, jo hai, so hai, take me. I mean, this is who I am. So, she has been one inspiring woman. And the other ones that I was really in awe of was when I first met Asha Parekh, and I'm forgetting the names. Okay, me and names. So Asha Parekh has been like my thing since like Wahida Rahman ji and Asha Parekh ma'am, and then Sharmila Tagore ma'am. Oh my God! And for Wahida Rahman ma'am, Asha ma'am, we actually did a tribute. So I danced on one of her songs, and I was petrified because I had just learned the choreography in the morning. I was like, oh my God, Sumona, don't shit this. Like, oh my God. I was like petrified. For the first time, I wanted to run away from the set. I'm like, oh my God. Because for me, these are truly people I admire and have seen their movies so many times. Like Sharmila Tagore, we shot with her recently because she came for her film Gulmohar, and I was just like, oh my God, I have grown up watching your movie. So I'm more of a old soul.
Old.
Yeah, I'm a very, very old soul. Just
Do you have somebody who you would wish to have on that sofa. Of course, I'll come soon. But like apart from that, like is
That
there
sofa,
something?
my sofa.
Now we'll have to talk about your sofa. Come on, 3 names for your sofa.
George Clooney,
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett Johansson,
Mm-hmm.
Julia Roberts.
Okay, done. If they're coming on the podcast, I'll call you.
I will be on the floor like this.
These strange things happen. Like you put an intention out there, and it'll actually take place. Have you ever done this? Have you ever noticed it?
They say it's true, but I don't know. I've been thinking of George Clooney ever since.
No, but you've never pictured him on your sofa.
That's true.
Then now imagine you picture him on your sofa.
Oh my God.
Ah.
Listen, please, my visuals are getting very going haywire right now. It's going haywire right now. Oh my God.
You're like, shit,
No,
I have
but
to
I
change the
think-
tapestry.
but
मुझे नहीं आया sofa
But you know, he
खरीदना
started
पड़ेगा.
off as a fantasy, but I now realize that he is just. I think if I ever to see him, meet him, I think I have now reached a point, I think maybe because it's got to do with age or whatever, that I was very upset that he got married to Amal, though. I was.
How dare he?
And my brother said, "Tum kya ro rahi ho? Tumhara what you thought? He'll be your boyfriend." I said, "Why not? Who knows?"
Kapil Sharma ki Biwi marries George Clooney.
God.
Can you imagine that title?
Listen, I would divorce Kapil Sharma and everyone else. I would move baggage, everything. But yeah.
Okay, now the podcast has been hijacked. Sumona has left the building. She's now sitting on a
But-
sofa with George Clooney.
I wish, but yeah. But now I'm telling you, so the fantasy has also evolved. Now it's like, I wish I get to work with him one day. Like he could be the director.
Huh.
I'm the actor in his film, and I could.
Because he got married, because he got old.
No, neither.
No, that like, the fantasy
I
has
think
changed
it's-
because of which.
I think it's about me getting older and wiser and being more practical. So because I think I really like Amal also.
So
and
then,
they make,
then they're
हाँ.
fine. Then they're okay.
Yeah.
I think
So
we're
ठीक
making
है.
peace with this
So
now.
अगर movie कर लेंगे तो then in a movie then we can always kiss and then it's okay, right?
Ah, so kisi scene.
Yeah.
So kisi koti scene
Who
in the
knows,
movie, I
yeah.
think we'll. So now you have to
Hollywood
manifest
में
this,
सब
okay?
चलता है.
Sumona, you have to manifest this.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
New whiteboard, new.
Yeah, Hollywood project.
I love it.
Starring George Clooney, Sumona Chakravarti, and one kissing scene.
One kissing scene.
Okay. The day that happens, I'm FaceTiming you.
Thank you for coming on the Habit Coach podcast and sharing all this with us. And your first podcast ever.
Yes, can I say it on podcast? I've lost my podcast virginity.
If you like this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, give us a rating. It really helps with people discovering the podcast. If you like podcasts like this, check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can also watch all the episodes on the Habit Coach Awesome 180 YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. You can also reach out to me. I am Ashdin Doc at Twitter and Instagram. You can connect with me on my website, awesome180.com. You can also check out my 2 new books, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life, and the second, The Book of Good Habits for Kids. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach.
IVM.